Hello, everybody. This is Mike Newmeyer Show, with some more ideas about retirement, things that you can consider. I've got a wonderful little book here. It's called A Simple Path that we have supplied to our clients for many years. And if you come to see us, you're going to get a copy of this if you'd like to have it. And it gives you ideas about retirement. And what I've done is made a list of some of those ideas that I want to go with you. But this is just a sampling of what's in the book. So, I think this is another good reason to come and see us because we've written down a lot of information that can really help you. Okay. First of all, let me tell you that the tough times teach us a lot of things. It shows us when we're going through inflation and probably a recession, that things are not always going to be good, and they're not always going to be good in retirement. So we really need to do some planning. And I've been helping people plan for retirement for many years and to take into consideration the probability of some downturns in the economy and inflation in the economy. So building skills is what this book is all about. Learning to cope with retirement, the good and the difficult is in this book. Okay, so I want to get that to you. If you come in, you'll get a complimentary copy. All right, but here's some ideas to think about. Planning is preparation. Planning is preparation. A lot of people don't really plan. They get an idea in their mind. They may talk to some friends and so forth, like, what are you doing? And all that sort of thing. But that's not enough. You really got to plan, and you got to take into consideration your particular circumstances, what your particular income is going to be, what your particular expenses are going to be. A lot of people say, well, how much money do I need to retire? What should my nest egg be? That's not the right way to go about it. The right way to go about it is to look at what the expenses are going to be. Look at what see what expenses you can eliminate in retirement, what expenses are going to increase. I guarantee you that medical expenses are going to increase no matter what we do, whether we've got Medicare, plus, whatever. It's not going to avoid the fact that you're going to have increased cost in dental and in medical needs. So you got to be prepared for that. And you need to understand Medicare, incidentally. The post office usually has copies of the Medicare Handbook for the year, for the year. And if you get there before they're gone, then that's a good thing to have because you can refer to it. And you can a lot of things are in that book that we never anticipate. And you can make some changes annually, which most people don't know. So I suggest, number one, get a copy of Medicare, the Medicare Handbook for the year. Okay, that's number one. As far as postponement for planning, that's not planning. That's negative. Okay, you find yourself postponing, hopefully a little red flag will go off. And remember, I'm telling you with the absolute truth that if you postpone planning, you're setting yourself up to get hurt. Okay, so expenses and income are the two basic things we talk about in retirement. And not the nest egg, not how much money I've got to retire. Okay, that's a feel-good number, hopefully. Hopefully it's a feel-good number, but it's wishful thinking to use that as the barometer of whether or not you can retire. Got to start out with, otherwise you're not going to know how long it's going to last. It's how fast am I going to deplete that money, if I'm going to deplete it. The question is, can I make the money grow as fast as it's being depleted? Now, if you leave it in the market, not too good a chance. Market goes down for 3 years, you're never going to make back that money, and 3 years has passed. I talked about that before. The cost of value of money, the time value of money, you don't get it back if it goes down for a period of time. Okay, yes, it may come back, but you've lost that money in the meantime because it's gone down and you took money out to live on. We used to think that you could take out 4% a year and sustain your principal. Not true for a long time now. It's more like 2%. 2%. Most people can't live on 2%, but so they're going to take more out. Okay, so what's going to happen is they're going to deplete their principal. Got to think about these things. We have accounts that will basically help you keep the principal. Okay, so keep that in mind. How long the money will last, that's the question. And you got to do a bottom-up plan, which means get the expenses listed. How do you do it? Start out with what you're spending now. Create a budget. Nobody likes budgets. I don't like budgets, but make a list of what your monthly expenses are. And then next to it, write down what you anticipate your monthly expenses to be in all those categories when you retire. Okay? Got to do it. And be careful. Don't be too conservative. It's not going to be, a lot of people think and thought for years that their expenses in retirement will be 80% of what their expenses were when they were working. I tell you this, that if anything, your expenses could be more for the medical costs and so forth and so on that I've already mentioned. But I got news for you, folks. They don't shrink that much when you retire. Okay, unless you completely get rid of some of the expenses. And you can. And you can increase your income. There's things like reverse mortgages, of course. And I guide people on all these kinds of questions when they come to see me. Okay. So you bottom up your plan, expenses, and then you go from there. What are you going to do in another recession or in cases of inflation like we're going through now? What are you going to do? I did a podcast a couple of days ago on some ideas about dealing with inflation. You can go back and watch that if you'd like. Keep in mind that if you always do what you've always done, you're going to get less, not more, not the same amount. You're going to get less because when you go through inflation, those old rules don't apply. So if you keep doing the same thing over again, you're going to get less. So keep that in mind. That's not a great idea to get it. How about Social Security? People always say to me, when should I start my Social Security? Well, that's an individual thing. And incidentally, you can go on ss.gov and you can look at your Social Security account and you can figure out what you're going to get at different ages. I'll tell you this much to think about. Okay? If you have it available at 62, and let's say full benefits are 66, that's 4 years. If you started at 62, you're going to get 48 more checks by starting it then than waiting until 66. You say, well, I'm going to get more money at 66. Yeah, you're going to get a bigger check at 66. Are you ever going to make up for the money you didn't take? Actually, all the studies we've done tell us it takes about 9 years to make up the difference that you haven't taken. Well, we don't know how long we're going to live. So keep that in mind. We can talk about that more if you come and see me. And then, people say, I've had people say, I'm never going to retire. Well, if they get sick, if they get sick or get disabled or they're infirm and so forth and so on, they're going to find that they're going to retire. So you got to plan on retirement at a reasonable age. And if you don't retire, you'll be better off, of course. But the point is, and you live, then you'll be better off. And if you're not infirm, then you'll be better off. But at least plan as if you're going to retire at a reasonable age. And then there's folks that say, well, I'm going to work till I'm 65 or I'm going to work till I'm 70. Let's hope you're around. It's the same kind of rule. And I know a lady that is a client of mine that retired at 64 and started her own business. Well, she had been working on that idea for a long time. So that's another example of what some people do. And then I want to give you an idea. What if you want to retire early? What if you have an old 401k plan somewhere and you're leaving it alone because you're not going to retire? You didn't think you were going to retire, but now you all of a sudden want to retire early. You can take, let's say you're not 59 and a half. Let's say you're less than that, like most athletes when they retire. You can take the money and we can put it through an IRS code called a 72T. And by doing that, that means you can get lifetime income. Okay, you can get lifetime income at any age. You can start it at 40 years old. You can start it at any age. And you can do it while you still work. So let's say that there's a gap between your income and what you need, but you've got an old plan that you could use. Or you could take an in-service distribution on a 403B as an example, still work. We can take that money and create a 72T, which means you will get lifetime income. You'll have to take the same amount every month. We can set that up. That's an IRS code. Most people don't have any idea about that. And those are just some ideas. I've got lots more, and I've got this book with a whole bunch of ideas to help you. So give us a call. We can help.